Good afternoon, children. In my previous video, I started our new topic that was morphology of flowering plants, and this was lesson number 5. And herein we discussed the introduction to the topic. We discussed about structure of a typical flower, the technical terms already used. Some of them we have discussed previously in class 9th, but added the new ones like floral symmetry, actinomorphic and zygomorphic. Then we moved further with terms like bimerous, trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous, and further we discussed the conditions of the flower like polysepalous, polypetalous, gamosepalous and gamopetalous. To add further, it was perianth. Then totally new topic was estivation. We discussed and I very clearly explained that you have to restrict only to the ones that syllabus tells you: volvate, twisted, imbricate and vexillary. These were the 4 types of estivation to be studied. Further, I discussed the cohesion of stamens and we discussed terms like monadelphous, diadelphous, polydelphous, syngenaceous and synandrous. Then we moved to adhesion of stamens and I explained you the two terms epipetalous and epiphyllous, whereas the third one I told you this is not mentioned in the syllabus. And the last topic for yesterday was number of anthelopes, that is monothecous and bithecous or dithecous. Today we will move further with the technical terms in the study of morphology of flower, and we are going to start with the gynoecium. Under gynoecium, there are various topics to be studied. The first is position of ovary. Now, in a flower of a typical kind, first see these diagrams, children, where we discuss anything further. The ovary is given priority in the discussion in this topic. Like here, the first one, the ovary is at a higher position. It occupies the highest position, and the other floral structures like the petal, the green sepals or the anther along with the filament, they are attached below the ovary. That means ovary is at the top, the other structures are at the bottom. So this is a condition where we say the ovary is superior and the rest of the floral structures are inferior because they are attached below it. So this is called as hypogynous. Remember, the term hypo means below and gynoecium, that means here giving priority to ovary. So everything is located or attached below the ovary, and this is the condition that the flower will be called hypogynous. Alright, so by definition, ovary lies above all other parts and it is thus superior, and the rest of floral whorls are inferior. This can be seen in brinjal, china rose, mustard, etc. Now, just the opposite. If this is the ovary that is superior, come to the extreme right side, look at this condition. This is called as when the ovary is kind of sunken inside and the rest of the structures are at the top of this. That is petal attached above ovary, stamens attached above ovary and the sepals also attached above ovary. So this is the condition where the ovary is inferior and the rest of the structures are superior. So this is called as epigynous. Epi means above and gynous, as I told you, we are giving the priority to ovary. So what is this by definition? This is just the opposite to hypogynous. Just the opposite is epigynous. Thalamus surrounds the ovary completely. What is thalamus, children? Yesterday I told you thalamus is this raised portion of the platform where all the floral structures are attached. So here what you're saying is thalamus is completely surrounds the ovary completely, encloses it and fuses with the ovary wall. The sepals, petals and stamens arise from the top of ovary. Just now you saw how they are arising from the top of the ovary, and the ovary is thus inferior and the other parts or the whorls are superior. This can be seen in guava, apple, sunflower, cucurbita, etc. Then coming to the third condition, which is kind of midway. neither is it completely ovary that is completely superior or it is completely inferior, but this is like half or semi-inferior. Why? See yourself, everything is kind of attached to position intermediate. So we can say that the thalamus forms a cup-shaped structure. Here this thalamus is forming a cup-shaped structure around the ovary, and sepals, petals and stamens appear to be inserted on the rim of the cup, that is on the edge of the cup. So look here, if this is the cup, then the rim, that is at just the border rim of this, everything is like as if attached. So ovary is semi-inferior. This can be seen in rose, strawberry, plum, peach, etc. So this was very simple, children, yet a very important floral term. Hypogynous flower. This is epigynous flower, but this one is called as perigynous. Peri means this is just halfway. So here ovary was almost at the top, here almost at totally at the bottom, and here is just like half the way. Half is like above and half is below, right? So that is why we say semi-inferior. Moving to, if I show you this in the textbook, this is here. Hypogynous, epigynous and perigynous. So this is, I hope that is very, very clear. Moving to another new term, cohesion of carpels. Cohesion, that means how they are kind of united. And here we have two new terms, apocarpus and syncarpus. The free condition of carpels is called apocarpus. Now you must be knowing, children, that depending on various flowers, sometimes there are more than one carpel present, right? 2, 3, 4, any number. So the condition where the carpels are free, this is called as apocarpus. And the same when they are fused, the condition will be called as syncarpus, right? So syncarpus, that means fusion of carpels, right? Syn means fusion of carpels, and here apo means the condition when they are free. What are free? The carpels. The condition is calotropis and ranunculus in apocarpus. When we come to syncarpus, this is china rose, onion and solanum. So I think this was very simple, children. This will be our new page for today. Moving further to another topic in the syllabus on this morphology, we have differences between apocarpus and syncarpus. Here, as I said, the first point was carpels are free and here they are fused. Then ovary is always unilocular. Uni means one locule. That is, if we cut an ovary, children, suppose this is the ovary, right? And this is cut in a transverse section. What we see is presence of compartment. Sometimes we have only one compartment. This is an ovule, right? So this is one compartment where we say it is unilocular. Sometimes there are two compartments, 3, 4 and so on. I'll just show you here. See this. This is unilocular, means a compartment here. So this is unilocular. Here you can see the axis is dividing into two compartments. So this is bilocular. This is 3 compartments, so trilocular. Then tetra and then penta. So the conditions, they keep on multiplying with the number of locules or compartments. So here ovary is always unilocular and here ovary may be unilocular, so not certain. Then it could be uni or multilocular. Then placentation is marginal, superficial, basal or apical. Whereas here it can be parietal, axile, superficial, basal, apical or free central. And finally, it forms aggregate fruits and here it forms simple fruits. Fruits are not in your syllabus, children. So if you want, you may delete this point, but 1 or 2 differences will be important. Then moving further, number of locules in ovary. Just now I showed you, children. This is page number 5.53. Locules, as I told you, this is the ovary that is seen in the compartment, and depending on the number of locule, the ovary can be unilocular. This is unilocular, bilocular or trilocular tetralocular or pentalocular. So instead of giving tri, tetra or penta, we use a common word as multilocular. So multi means with many locules, usually with more than two. So this is what we have to study here. Unilocular, it's seen in pea. Bilocular ovary is seen in mustard. And multilocular is seen in many plants, as I showed you, in various conditions. For one example will be Althea. Althaea. Then coming to our next topic, here you have to be careful enough to study, and at times, as I told you, this is the very elaborate version given in your textbook, and this is inflorescence. I'll show you, children. There should be no confusion regarding this. In your textbooks, inflorescence is given at page number 5.53 here. It begins here at the bottom of the page, and see the length of it, children. You have the definition, various types, and not just types but also subtypes with various examples stretching all till over here, which is not required, children. The syllabus clearly says only three things. Inflorescence, you have to define various things, the main types and differences. Only three things you have to study: definition, types and differences. Clearly it is written subtypes not required. Cross check it in your syllabus. So you don't have to study all these that are given like catkin, spadix, corim, umbel, etc. This is just not required. Neither here the compound forms, right? But what is required, I am going to start with it, and all this is just not required. Hypanthodium and all. So let us start, children. And with this will be our last topic. So I want to show you here first a diagram before we start with this working. What is inflorescence, children? Inflorescence we have studied in class 9th. Inflorescence, the arrangement and distribution of flowers on the floral axis, is termed as inflorescence. You know, sometimes the flowers are born singly and we call them as solitary. But other times there are flowers which are born in clusters, and this is what we call as inflorescence, that the arrangement and distribution of the flowers, how we study them, is called as inflorescence. Now the floral axis. If you look at this simple diagram here, then this is a floral axis on which flowers are attached like this. Alright, so this floral axis is called as peduncle. The floral axis or the stalk bearing the flowers is called, or bearing the inflorescence, is called as peduncle. There are two types which are basic of inflorescence: racemose or indeterminate, and the other is cymose or determinate. I like to show you the diagram first. This is a racemose. Now what happens is, you've said this is indeterminate. That means the axis continues to grow, a flower is formed, right? And again it continues to grow further and further up. So that means in this condition, the older flowers will be pushed at the bottom because this is continuously growing. So this will be the newest and the youngest flower. This will be the mature ones, and the oldest would be at the bottom. Once again, what we said, the axis is indeterminately growing. That means continues to grow endlessly, and the flowers are born in this succession, oldest at the bottom and youngest at the top. This kind of inflorescence is called racemose, and this succession of flowers is called acropetal. This acropetal means is the order of youngest flower at the top and oldest at the bottom, but the entire inflorescence is called racemose. Look at the other one. This is just the opposite. This is the determinate growth. The stem was growing, a flower was formed, and the growth of stems stopped. Here it did not stop, continued to grow on and on. But here the stem stopped with the growth of the formation of the flower. So this is the oldest. The new flowers will be born on the lateral sides, right? So this is what you can see, the first formed flower, then this is the second one, again new ones, third and the fourth, and so on. So this type of arrangement of inflorescence is called cymose, and this order where the oldest is at the top, right, and the youngest are at the other size laterally at the bottom, then this is called as basipetal. Alright, so let us now study. Racemose, also called indeterminate. In this, the floral axis shows indeterminate growth, producing flowers in acropetal succession or order, oldest in the lowest part and youngest at the uppermost. This is what I am telling. Oldest at the bottom, youngest at the top. Examples: coriander, sunflower, rice, wheat, banana, etc. The next one is cymose. Here the growth of main axis is determinate. That is, with the formation of flower, the growth of main axis stops. The development of first flower limits apical growth of the main axis of inflorescence. That means the moment this is formed, the growth of the stem is limited or stopped. And now the other flowers are born or formed in basipetal order, that is oldest at the terminal end, and the younger ones are lateral in position. The younger ones, you can see, they are lateral or towards the sides. And as I said, this is the last topic, will be differences. Here, the growing point in racemose, the first one, continues growing, but here it terminates into a flower. You have seen just now how it terminates into flower. The arrangement of flowers is acropetal. Just now I explained you, oldest at the bottom, youngest at the top. But here it is basipetal, right? That means the oldest at the top and the younger ones on the side. Then, flower develop around the peduncle, that is the floral axis. If this is the floral axis, the flower will develop around it. But here, flowers are born on one side only. Alright? Number of flowers is indefinite because it continuously grows. So there is no fixed number. Whereas here, the number of flowers is definite or kind of fixed. Alright? The next one is flowers open at short intervals, whereas here they open at long intervals. And finally, a single insect when visits can pollinate a large number of flowers. Right? Now you can see how they are arranged. So one visit may drop the pollen to a number of flowers. But here, an insect cannot pollinate many flowers in one visit. The arrangement is such that one visit will not be really helpful to pollinate the other flowers. Right? So that's all for this topic. I completed today. Once again, let's revise now. The topics we have done is position of ovary, cohesion of carpels, then differences between the two types, that is apocarpus and syncarpus, number of locules, inflorescence. Once again, only three things you have to study: definition, types and differences. Subtypes not required. So here is the definition. We discussed peduncle, types of inflorescence, examples and differences. And that's all for the topic and all for today, children. With that, we complete the lesson on flower. I'll show you in the syllabus, children. This is page number 3 of syllabus. All the colored portion tells that we have completed. So, morphology of flowering plants. We have completed structure of a typical flower, types of inflorescence, racemose and cymose, structure of a typical flower, bracteate, ebracteate, symmetry, actinomorphic, zygomorphic, trimerous, tetra and pentamerous, complete and incomplete, non-essential whorls, calyx, conditions like gamocephalous, polysepalous, corolla, gamopetalous and polypetalous. Polycephalous. This is a misprint, children. It should be polypetalous. This is a misprint, has been repeated just now, as you can see, polycephalous and polycephalous. This will be polypetalous. Next is perianth, estivation, volvate, twisted, imbricate, vexillary, essential whorls, androecium, cohesion, syngenaceous, cynandrous, monadelphous, diadelphous and polydelphous. It looks like a very long thing, children, but as you have seen, yesterday we completed a major portion of this, right? So this is just a unit. Instead of being called a lesson or a chapter, this will be a unit. Adhesion, epipetalous, epiphyllous, number of lobes, monothecous, diathecous, gynoecium, position of ovary, epigynous, hypogynous, and perigynous. Then cohesion, today we talked about apocarpus and syncarpus, number of locules, unilocular, bilocular, and multilocular. Types of inflorescence, racemose and cymose, definition and differences, subtypes not required. So this very clearly tells children we come to an end of this topic, and I'm sending 3 pages today for today's video. Yesterday I sent you 4 pages. From here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is all the work that I sent you yesterday, and today you have to only write these 3 pages. 1, 2 and 3. That's all for this class just now and also for this topic. Tomorrow we'll be starting with something new. Thank you.